Oh, routines, oh, routines. Waking up every day with new routines, the same old routines, trying new things, trying to get some experiences in that bring some novelty to life. So, where do I start? I woke up this morning pretty early, actually, feeling pretty good. Tried to force myself to go back to sleep, and that's a rare thing for me. Like, I just want a couple more hours because I felt like I wanted it, but nope, I was ready to get up. So I got up and I proceeded to go about my day and thinking about some of the routines that I have every day. It's like when we go camping or go on a vacation for a few days and get away from home. You come back to home and it's kind of a new thing. It's like home takes on a different look. Anybody, if you've ever gone on a long trip and returned home, it's kind of a novelty to come back to it, and it almost looks different. It's a different feeling. It's because your body's acclimated to where you were at. The environment, the excitement, and returning to the same old standard can actually be a novelty after a while. But when you're stuck in it daily and you don't go on vacation, you don't go on trips, you don't do anything that gets you out to enjoy even one day a week or a month to get out and do something, we become trapped in our routine. And it's like one of the reasons why we lack, well, let's say memories. Let's talk about memories. Why don't we have more memories of childhood when we were really young? Well, the novelty of life through experience, as we become more conscious and aware of ourselves and our surroundings, that's when we start to actually take note and remember things, because they are a novelty. When you're young, everything's a novelty. So remembering everything from being a baby is, it's your mind becomes flooded with ideas. There's more to it than that, but I'm just trying to build a picture of why certain things in our minds stick out. It's because those experiences go along with, let's say, the brain. Partly brain chemistry is to blame. Okay, when you get into a really exciting event, your body's, you're producing dopamine and serotonin, and you're, flooded with these feel-good hormones like oxytocin, and that bonds you to the memory. That files that memory away as something that you will actually be able to pull out of your long-term memory by saying, oh, what did I do on this day? It's like they say, you can remember what you did for your birthday maybe a year ago, but you can't remember what you ate for breakfast 3 days ago. And this is because, well, a week ago. Maybe some of you can, and that's the thing. Some people do have really good memories, but I don't think that that's a benefit. I think that that's actually a burden. For a while, I was kind of bummed in life that I didn't remember more of my youth. I thought, it must be cool to be able to be one of those people that can remember everything. I quickly realized that I do not want to be that person. That I only have enough room for certain things. Now, there's a reason why mathematicians are so good at math, because that's what they study. Their brains have wired that way. To put it simply, in neurochemistry, they say neurons that fire together wire together. So when you're doing one particular activity, those neurons will fire, and they become more and more, you might just say fused, metaphorically, to where that becomes a permanent way of being. And this is one of the things that why we seek novelty, even seek novelty through fear. And that's something that's kind of disturbing. Fear and stress are killers. They basically shut down your immunity, your immune system, and produce cortisol, so you can go and produce more, adrenaline, so you can deal with the problem, combat whatever you need to do. And we've set ourselves into a permanent state of fear, which is actually killing us. But the thing is that fear imprints memories very strongly, but it can also mess with the way that our brains work together. This came up when I was thinking about the neurons that fire together, wire together. The recent, I guess not that recent, but scientific studies, and to the best of their ability, have shown that kids who live with fear in their families, which have to put up with mean parents or mean teachers or just mean people in general, or are scared of something like, let's say, the devil. So this is something that parents are doing to their children. They actually, their brains will wire to be very defensive and to be scared and to learn to deal with that fear of something horrible like that. And what it does is, let's put it this way, when you're scared, you're stupid. your brain actually shrinks if you live in fear. Your brain begins to shrink and you go into overdrive. I can't go through all the technical reasons. I'm not a biologist, but I've researched this pretty deep, and they found out that, when you're scared, your brain will wire that way permanently, and it makes it very hard to find a happy, normal life. So waking up and just doing your regular routine, your regular novelty, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it doesn't include fear. If the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is go look at the bad news, what's going on in the world, a lot of people say, oh, I'm not scared, I just want to know what's happening. But you're also getting a sense of excitement, let's say, from seeing which apocalypse is coming next, or which prediction is, coming, or looking for that one guy who has a rude comment so you can go tear into him, or, try to be confrontational in life. You can't say that that's fear, but it's aggression, and aggression and fear are very intertwined. Fear causes aggression, generally. Those who are very aggressive are generally very scared. And a lot of people would disagree with this, but and in a lot of cases, I may be wrong, but generally people who are always striking out at others are fearful inside of something in their lives that they're not comfortable with, because I don't see any reason why a person would have to be aggressive and mean. And it's part of the program that we're set with, and that's kind of what I wanted to really start this video about. When I initially started it, was just about the program that we wake up with. And people talk about how we're programmed into this, programmed into that, but they don't mention that every person has their own program. Whatever ideas and experiences and expectations I've grown up with have put me to where when I wake up in the morning, I do a certain thing. My behaviors, everything we do, make a cup of coffee, check my messages, or answer emails, or do packaging for my business, or feed my plants, or go out in the yard, whatever it may be. It's just something that my mind is on this routine. It's hard to explain, I guess, what I'm trying to get across, but there's no novelty to routine. Routine isn't something great and exciting, but it is something very important, and if we don't have it, our whole lives can be filled with novelties, but the novelty loses its novelty, if that makes sense. And it all comes, I guess, back down to balance. You want to be able to get out and enjoy yourself and do things, but at the same time, have stability. I guess it's all in the scales, Stability and the unknown, the excitement. One of the hardest things for me to imagine would be to live a life where I know I will have no stability whatsoever in my life. No stable people, no stable experiences, nothing to count on. That could be difficult, but it would be not nearly as difficult as thinking that all I'm going to have in life is stability. In other words, I'd rather have chaos than order, if that was the choice, because it's kind of like AA comes to mind. This is something that may sound kind of off subject, but it's not. They tell alcoholics that, you can never have a drink again, and they join AA, and I was forced to go by the courts years ago, and I'd see people in AA that said they drank for like a year or two, and they've been in AA for 20 years since that. And I started asking myself, what is the driving force that could cause a person to be so addicted to going to Alcoholics Anonymous? And it's not just the community, the friendship, and the people that they meet, but that they've told themselves they will never drink again. And with that, you've cut yourself off. You've created a routine that you can never break. In other words, you should never say never in life. You should never say, I'll never do this, or I will never go here or do that. And I have to include myself there. I have to even admit, hey, I can't say that I will never become a Christian, even though that's probably the farthest thing from anything that I would possibly yearn to be. I've studied Christianity, I've looked into it, I've talked to many Christians, and I've had them explain to me why it's such a great religion and why they're so happy. But there's enough of me that says it's, that religion is a man's belief. It has nothing to do with believing in God or any of that. But anyway, I have to set aside at least a 1% chance that Christians might be right. Because if I don't, then I'm just being pious and pretending like they're wrong, and how can they be wrong if I can't prove it. And I'm using that as an example for everything in life. The way that I try to view it is I can't be absolutely sure about anything. But that doesn't mean that I can't have a surety in certain things, if that makes sense. You have to have a little stability. It's kind of like the folks who say they don't trust anybody, that the government's out to get us, the Illuminati's out to get us, everybody's out to get them. And I say, who do you trust? And they say, nobody. And I was like, that's the problem. When you trust nobody, you're going to seek out people and their flaws without looking for the connections, the things we can trust. You know, there are some people I've met on YouTube I've never seen in real life that I would probably, probably trust to, with a lot of things. I mean, hard to explain what, but for example, there's some people, like I let John stay with me. He's a guy I met on YouTube. I could just tell he was a good guy, and he came to town, and I let him stay here at my house. You don't have to meet a person to know that they're a good person. And this is probably why I kind of have to go back and eat my words. A couple of years ago, I said, a YouTube friend can never be a real friend. I said that, real friends you can't make online. And I totally don't believe that anymore. I think people could talk for years online and have a great, tight relationship, but never meet, and, because people are people. And souls meet through the ether, they meet through whatever means we connect on. Some people have had pen pals, people they've never met. And I thought about this actually the other day, that pen pals were kind of like online friends, decades ago. And another thing that popped into my head was chain letters. I thought about this the other day. Chain letters were something, I'm sure most people know what they are, but, in this generation, I don't know if people even still send them, where you would say, send it to the next person, send it to the next person. And this is exactly what's happened with, like, Facebook posts and other things like that. Like, share this with a bunch of friends and have them share this with 10 friends. Or the same thing as a blog, A blog would be what the old, let's say, community center was. Where people would go to meet, or like the community meetings once a month. And now you go to websites and blogs. It's, I know I'm going into that aspect of it, computers now, but it's just such an awesome way to connect to people and not have to, and it's hard for me because I also see that connection that comes with meeting people directly. And a lot of people, especially like say my mom's generation, they say that we've lost the connection, we've lost that, one-on-one connection with people. But I don't think it's that way at all. I think it's that way when you first get on the net and you don't know where to go, if you don't understand how to get to the right people, And that's why when I started YouTube, I said you couldn't make friends online, But I've changed that because it's taken me a while to meet all the people that I've been able to meet. And I think it's an awesome thing. Yeah. Sorry. Don't usually talk on camera on this channel because I don't want to offend anyone who's maybe, or anyone who's a minor who's watching. That's one of the hard things, is trying to live your own life without influencing other people too much. I think that's one of the things I yearn for. One of the things I'm trying to grow to become is a person who can understand that people are just people, and everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, and yeah, whatever. The video's getting long, I gotta go. My wife's gonna have to leave for work in a minute, so I try to get in here to do this before she goes. And I wish you all the most wonderful days. I guess if there was a point to this video, it would be to try to break your routine once in a while, and to try to get out and go for even a walk. One of the things, a little example is, I walk, I go to pick up my son each day from school. It's about 10 blocks away, and every day I walk home a different way. And 10 blocks, say 7 blocks this way and 3 blocks this way, there are millions of combinations of ways you can go. It's endless. So even walking down the street you haven't been down before, because it's hard to break away from that routine sometimes. So, take care, everybody.